Well, it certainly has not ended because Blake Lively, her new movie, Another Simple Favor, just came out, and she's using it as an opportunity to troll Justin Baldoni and poke fun at all of this legal drama. I watched Another Simple Favor, so you don't have to. Get ready. Let's dive in. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Happy Friday. Oh my God, it's Friday. Happy Friday. Hey, lots to get into. Blake Lively was just on Seth Meyers. Is that the show she just? I didn't realize Seth Meyers was still on the air. Yeah, late night with Seth Meyers, and she was talking about the highs and lows of her year. And of course, she's talking about Justin Baldoni and how she wants to save all the girlies. But we'll get into all of that. I also watched this morning, I watched Another Simple Favor. I wanted to make sure I had a clear head with some coffee in me. So I did watch Another Simple Favor. There are a lot of Easter eggs in the film that I think debunk some of the claims that Paul Feig was trying to make about Blake Lively. We'll get into all of that. But just to kick things off, I wanted to remind everybody while you're here, while I got you, be sure to get your tickets to the Zactivated tour. I'm going on tour this summer, a live podcast tour, so you can come and catch a live taping of No Filter with Zack Peter with a lot of your favorite content creators and special guests. It is coming on this summer. Go to nofilterlive.com, nofilterlive.com, nofilterlive.com. Get your tickets. I'm coming to Dallas, Philly, Phoenix, Toronto, Brooklyn, Chicago, Seattle, and Los Angeles. It kicks off July 11th, but VIP packages are going fast, so be sure to go to nofilterlive.com. The VIP experience is going to be a lot of fun because we have the pre-show. We're going to be doing a meet and greet. We're going to be doing a fun little pre-show happy hour. You'll get premium seats in the showroom, so it's going to be a lot of fun. You can go check out the ticket options right now at nofilterlive.com. Get your tickets now, okay? Coming to Dallas, Phoenix, Philadelphia, Toronto, Brooklyn, Chicago, Seattle, Los Angeles. It is the Zactivated tour. Lots of your favorite content creators are going to be on stage with me in different shows. So each show is going to be a different experience with a different set of special guests. Get ready. It's going to be good times, good times, good times. Also, I just watched on Netflix Battle Camp. So did anybody watch Cheer on Netflix? It was the show. They only lasted 2 seasons, and there was like a whole lot of controversy with a lot of people that were on the show. Some of them were like arrested, and it was like crazy. But so anyway, the show Cheer, there's a girl that was on there. Her name is Morgan. She was one of the cheerleaders, I guess, and so she is now starring in this new show, Battle Camp. So I heard about it, and I was kind of excited to check it out. I binged it this week. It was actually really good. Like, it's a fun Netflix competition show. If you watch any of the Netflix shows, Too Hot to Handle, The Circle, what other Cheer, I guess, Selling the OC. So a lot of those different reality stars, Netflix is bringing them together. I don't know if you used to watch the old VH1 shows, Flavor of Love, Rock of Love. They took those shows and then did like a Charm School spinoff where they took like some of the baddest girls from the different shows, and they took some of the baddest of the baddest and put them into like a charm school etiquette camp. And then they also did like I Love Money, where they were competing for a grand prize. So they're kind of doing that here by taking a lot of these different Netflix stars and having them battle it out. It's a really fun binge. So I would highly recommend you check it out. It's a fun show. I feel like it's better than some of the other reality shows. The Valley's good. Vanderpump Villa is not bad. I'm kind of just confused about like Stassi's role and everything. We have Secret Lives of Mormon Wives that's coming up. But the reason I'm telling you about Battle Camp and I guess Cheer, if any of you watch Cheer, Morgan from Cheer, she's also in Battle Camp and she's going to be on the podcast next week. So it's fun, but I want you to binge the show over the weekend. It's a lighthearted binge. It's kind of, you're going to get into like the competition of it all, but just binge it now so that you're up for next week's interview. Okay. Adriana says, haven't seen Battle Camp yet, but if you recommend it, I might. It's a fun competition show. I Love New York. Yes, those were great. And that's why I think I loved this concept is it's kind of that throwback to that like golden era of competition reality shows. I know MTV does a really good job of it with like The Challenge, but so it's a fun weekend watch. See, Toomey says I loved Battle Camp. Carol says I enjoyed Battle Camp. Okay, thank you. It was new to me and I was like, let me give it a try. And I watched it and I actually thought it was a good, aside from Traitors, which this season of Traitors was actually kind of shitty. Yeah. Elizabeth says the reviews of that movie are horrible. I'm assuming you're talking about Another Simple Favor, which is Blake Lively's newest movie. Stay with me, because I have a hot take, but I also went through the movie, got together all the Easter eggs, and right out the gate, there is a direct dig at Justin Baldoni. But before we get into Another Simple Favor, I wanted to talk about Blake Lively's appearance on Late Night with Seth Meyers, which was just so. I mean, are we shocked? She told Seth Meyers that the last year of her life has been full of high highs and low lows. And she said that there are so many women and young girls that are afraid to speak out against harassment, especially in the workplace. And she doesn't want them to feel like they have to be silent. So she wants them to know that they have a voice. And so she's using her voice and her power to, I don't know, take a man down. I really didn't get the point, but I get the sentiment that she's trying to put across is that she's trying to be a voice for women. And we've heard sources come out and say that Blake Lively wants to be the next wave of Me Too. And that's great. She's the final nail in the coffin that's burying the Me Too movement. Not that I want the Me Too movement to be buried. I believe that women should be believed. I believe that we should be, more aware of workplace harassment and be able to like combat those things, right? But also at the same time, it's really tough with Blake Lively. So I get the sentiment that she's trying to put out there. And she's, again, trying to manipulate the public and the media into believing that she's some champion for women and that she's trying to make sure that she speaks out when it's difficult to speak out. And of course, the media is going to protect her. They're going to have her do all of these appearances to promote Another Simple Favor, yada, yada, yada. But it's interesting that just last week, we saw Marvel get dragged into the Justin Baldoni legal drama because obviously Ryan Reynolds trolled Justin Baldoni in Deadpool and Wolverine with the Nice Pull character. And Ryan Reynolds didn't deny that in his motions to dismiss. He said that this was just a lawsuit about hurt feelings. And so I'm just like, okay. Yeah, tell me about it, bro. It's interesting. I see a lot of people are saying that Seth's team turned off the comments. Turned off comments and deleted them because obviously people are upset with Blake Lively. Understandably so. I don't think Justin Baldoni has necessarily done anything. If anything, we're going through all of this together. And so this is more contradictory behavior that we're going to get into when it comes to Blake Lively. Yeah, the comments are off now on the Seth Meyers videos. Because obviously I would imagine people were trolling Blake Lively because they're like, who are you to come out and say that you're this champion for women and you want to be, someone that is a voice for women when you seem to be making a mockery of it. And I get it. It's hard for her to settle at this point because I don't think she's going to buckle down. I think she's going to have to see this all the way through and lose in court massively unless she tries to do the Leslie Sloan thing, which we're seeing a lot of their attorneys do right now. This is, they're trying to, parse words and jump through legal loopholes and get off on technicalities. And so that's the part that's just kind of annoying. Carrie says, who is the voice for men and boys who are falsely accused like Justin? Me, us, you, all of us. We're standing up for what is right, not necessarily, just believing someone because they claim that they're a victim, but following the truth and wherever the truth leads us. Every time I do an interview and people ask me, are you Team Baldoni or are you Team Lively? I never say that I'm Team Baldoni. I always say I'm team the truth and wherever the truth takes us. And as of right now, the truth is taking us in the direction that's believing Justin Baldoni over Blake Lively. That's where the truth is leading us. And I think this publicity stunt on Seth Meyers and what we're getting from Another Simple Favor, this is really going to hit the nail on the head here, right? So despite this interview, Blake goes into the new film, and I'm just going to play a clip from you. I'm going to play a clip for you, sorry, from the film. This is early on right at the beginning of the movie. We're going to watch it, and I want to see if you pick up on something very specific that is said in this line that you're going to find familiar somewhere. Let's do it.
See you 9 a.m. Wednesday, my fiance's private plane. Oh, and if you don't come, I'm gonna have to sue you into oblivion for using my name and likeness without my express written consent. Don't try me, Bubba.
Don't
Love
try me,
you
Bubba.
so
Love
much.
you.
Can
Kisses.
she sue me?
Plausibly. Yeah, lawsuits can be a real killer. You shouldn't risk it. Just go to Capri.
Shut up, Darren.
Go to Capri. Shut up, Darren. Did you catch that? I'm going to sue you into oblivion. Where have we heard that before? Oh, that's right. Brian Friedman said it in his now famous Megyn Kelly interview where she asks him, "Are you going to sue Blake Lively?" And he says, "Into oblivion." And here it is. Now, what's so special about this clip, right? I watched the film this morning, so I was trying to pick up on all the different Easter eggs, and we'll get into the different Easter eggs. But look at, if you notice that when Blake Lively says this line, her back is turned to the camera and she's also down the hall, right? She's down the room, she's far away from the camera. So what typically happens when you're filming scenes like this, when an actor is so far from the camera and they're giving dialogue, sometimes you have to go back and you have to do voiceovers because you're not going to pick up clean audio when the actor is so far away, right? Sometimes you have the boom mics that are above the head and those pick up audio, but you can see Blake is so far out and she's walking so far off out of the shot that, like, obviously they don't have any mics that are on her in this particular moment. Obviously the set's quiet, but in this case, you can see that her back is turned, but we hear her say the line, "I'm going to have to sue you into oblivion for using my name and likeness." So that to me is an indicator that this was a pickup line that was added into the film afterwards. So to me, when I see her on Seth Meyers and she's like, "Oh, it's been such a hard year and I'm just trying to speak out for women and for girls." No, you're not, because you're pulling shit like this. You know what I mean? Like, you think we're dumb? You think we just fell out of a coconut tree? Why would you make a joke of this like you've done in the past, right? They made a joke of it with the Nice Pull skit in Deadpool and Wolverine. Here we are seeing them sue you into oblivion is not a commonly used term. The only reason we know about sue you into oblivion is because it's what Brian Friedman said off the cuff when when Megyn Kelly asked if he was going to sue Blake Lively. It's just crazy. And now the rest of this dialogue, I don't think was added in where she's like, "Can she sue me?" And she's like, plausibly, her book agent says plausibly. And then you have, the other guy in the film, the gay dad, who's like, "Yeah, lawsuits can be a killer. You shouldn't risk it. Just go to Capri." So I think those were probably baked in organically into the original script because that's part of the Emily, who's Blake Lively's character, is coming back and she threatens Stephanie, who's Anna Kendrick's character, to come to Capri for her wedding. She's like, "You need to come or else I'm going to sue you or else I'm going to blackmail you." And so those obviously are they fit with the story, which is that Blake Lively wants Anna Kendrick to come to the Capri wedding where her character is marrying Michelle Maroney's character. So, yeah, Amanda says she's making fun of Brian Friedman. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Exactly. Why do we keep taking digs and making fun of this stuff if it's such serious content? If it's so serious and we want to make sure that, Blake Lively is believed and we want to believe women and this is so serious, why is your husband trolling this predator? Number one. Why is your husband making a joke of it at SNL? And then why are you doing this here? Because here's the other thing. Paul Feig could have very easily cut this out altogether. But no, they did it. She decided she wanted to make sure that this line made it in, which to me tells me Paul Feig is complicit in the trolling of Justin Baldoni. I get it. He's Team Blake Lively. He's made that very clear that he's Team Blake Lively. But like crap like this to me is not cool. It's not excusable. Sorry. No, it's ridiculous. Bingo, this is a very long username, but I'm just gonna call you Bingbo. Bingbo. It's Bing Bop Boom 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 Bop Bam. Okay. Wow, I'm surprised I got that all in one shot. My aphasia is not acting up today. Says, "Do you think this will be used as evidence for malice?" Possibly. I think Nice Pull, I think Sue You into Oblivion, and I think the SNL skit, all of which at this point can be used. So, do you think Paul Feig will be subpoenaed at this point? Maybe. Sharon Watch says she really just seems to be making a joke of all of it. This is serious business and should be taken as such. Exactly. Don't go on Seth Meyers and be like, I'm a champion for women. And then you pull shit like this. Nah, I don't believe it. You and your dry ass, bristle hair, your bristle brush hair. No, I don't buy it anymore. That's why her hair is so big. It's full of lies. It's full of secrets. Blake is not a voice for women. No, she's not, Lauren. I agree with you. Not malice, but it will hurt so bad for a jury trial. That's what I don't get is I think at this point they don't care. That's why they keep showing up. That's why they're going to keep doing jokes and making digs at all of this and kind of making light of all of this because they know damn well. Oh. Sue You Into Oblivion was also in Justin's show Jane the Virgin. Was it? Shailene? I never watched Jane the Virgin. Taking a break from the Karen Reed trial with Emily D. Baker because I could not misuse that. Well, you got a good one today. She looks like Medusa. That's what I said. Her hair is so big because it's full of lies. Yeah. Yeah. Jennifer. Oh, Jennifer says, I've never caught you live. Yay me. Yay you. Yay you. So, yeah. Sorry, not buying the whole Sue You Into Oblivion bit, but there's more. Okay. Here's another clip from Another Simple Favor with some wording that you may find a little familiar. Because remember, Paul Feig was like, no, she didn't try to, bully her way onto the script, or she didn't try to bully her way into the movie. Like, she was great. We loved her. She didn't try to take over the script. Well, let's see if you catch anything familiar in this line.
I'm fine. I mean, this is why you brought me, right? Keep them coming. Oh, lighten up. I am busting your balls. You need to get laid.
I am busting your balls. Where did we hear that? Oh, yeah, in the text messages to Justin Baldoni, where she wanted to make sure, she called herself a ball buster. So even though Paul Feig is out here talking about how, no, she's nothing like the character. No, she didn't take over the film. But here she is. I mean, this is a classic Blake Lively line, busting your balls. She didn't say busting your chops. She said very specifically busting your balls, which is a Blake Lively line, as she told Justin Baldoni when she was talking about rewriting scenes for Lily, because she wanted Lily to be more like her, who's a ball buster, never with teeth. Oh. There we go. Never with teeth. Blake, No Teeth Lively is back. The ball busting plays sexy, never with teeth. Yes, exactly. Remember? Never with teeth. Interesting. Interesting. She's just a ball buster. So we have Sue You Into Oblivion. We have Bust Your Balls. And then let's get into some of the fashion choices. Because here we can see, because Paul Feig said, she didn't try to take over the film. But again, if you look at her fashion choices in the film, a lot of them, not only does she have this obsession with Louboutin, right? The red bottoms, Christian Louboutin, she always has to have Louboutins. She made sure that Lily had them in It Ends With Us, and she's made sure that Emily has them in A Simple Favor and now in Another Simple Favor. All of these big flashy boots, all of these flashy red bottom heels. She has this obsession with red bottoms, and all of her characters, they seem to all have Louboutins. But even some of the fashion choices that you'll see her wear in the movie are very similar to fashion choices we've seen her make. Specifically, this I don't think it's a boa. It's like this furry wrap, this almost like a shawl, but it's over the arms, and she kind of has her arms through them. At the It Ends With Us premiere, she had this floral dress on, and then she had this big red, fur. It's like this really big furry, feathery type of. It's not a coat because it hangs. I mean, but it's not a shawl either. I don't even know what you would call it, but it wraps around her arms and it kind of drapes down, kind of like a cape. Well, she has the red version that she wore to the It Ends With Us premiere, but then she's also wearing the exact same thing, but in a blue version with a floral top in Another Simple Favor, which to me says, oh, hello, you did have some sort of control because your in real life fashion emulates your character's fashion. So when your character is saying things like ball busting and wearing similar outfits and similar styles, I don't think that it's too much of a coinky dink with the dig with the florals. Now, obviously, this was filmed last summer, so I'm curious what her mindset was, because this was all done prior to the lawsuit, with exception for the sue you into oblivion line that she worked into the script. I believe that was added in post-production when they did the voiceover. That was something that was new that they were using to troll Brian Friedman and Justin Baldoni. But with the ball busting and with the outfit choices, to me, they're a little too similar to Blake Lively directly. You got a really good pill for my headache. Oh, well, I'm glad, Elizabeth. I'm glad. Amy Shepard says, I believe Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively still think Hollywood has influence. Going on a late night show in today's climate is plain to the faithful media believers. Exactly. That's that's what I'm saying. They're still going to be protected in Hollywood. They're going to be just fine in Hollywood. But at the end of the day, Hollywood's going extinct. Like, the things are shifting. The tides are turning. Danielle says, I treated myself to some Louboutin, but kitten heels because the heels are so uncomfortable. Can't afford them anymore, though. I love Louboutins. I have Louboutin loafers and Louboutin boots. I don't have Louboutin heels or stilettos because I don't wear heels or stilettos. But I do have the boots that I wore when I was in New York, on like when I was doing press and I did Fox 5, and everyone's like, oh my God, I love your boots. Those are Louboutins. So like Blake Lively, I do love Louboutins, but you know. Zappel says, I was fortunate to read some of the comments on the Seth Meyers clips before they were inactivated. Blake and Seth got roasted into oblivion. I'm sure. HB says, since Seth turned off the comments on the Blake Lively video, people are starting to add comments on his other videos. It's getting traction. Listen, what did they expect? The wardrobe was terrible. The wardrobe was terrible as fuck. Michelle and Monica got cheated by their short screen time. Yeah. Who's Monica? Oh, but their karma is dealing with them. Justin will triumph. In the end, yes, I agree. In the end, absolutely. However, Lori says, however, they're finding out that everyday women isn't fine. It is why they turned it off. Yeah, everyday women that have actually dealt with harassment are not with it, you know? They're not gonna subscribe to this, especially now with Blake Lively becoming like the face of this movement. No, thank you. Nobody wants that. Amber Heard and Blake Lively, no, thank you. So for her to go on Seth Meyers and be like, oh my God, I'm a voice for women and you have to speak up even when it's scary. Come on. I will say, and you're gonna get mad at me for saying this, and I know it's okay, you can cancel me. Please don't cancel me. The movie itself, Another Simple Favor, is not bad. I know people are gonna troll it and people are gonna say that it sucks and people are gonna give it bad reviews because they don't like Blake Lively. Taking myself out of it, if I just watch the movie objectively, the movie's not bad. I know some of you will agree, and you're gonna hate me for saying that. I can only listen, it's no filter. I can't let when I did my review of Betty Boo's, I was honest about that. I tried to find nice things to say about it, and there was not a whole lot of nice things to say about that. Okay. But I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna be honest with you. And so here's where the acting is so bad. I disagree. I don't think the acting is bad. If anything, I would actually say, I'm not encouraging people to watch the movie. What I'm saying, I'm just, again, I watched it so you don't have to. What I will say, and hear me out on this, okay? You're gonna want to cancel me, but just hear me all the way through. This was probably one of my favorite Blake Lively performances. And I think it is because she is very true to this character, even though Paul Feig doesn't want us to believe that she is. Now, had she not launched this lawsuit, the I agree with you, Carrie. She's not a good actress. She's a bad actress. Yeah, I agree. She's not a good actress overall, but in this film, I really did enjoy her character. I enjoyed her acting. I thought that it was I thought that she did a good job. Was she good in Gossip Girl? I didn't really watch Gossip Girl. I don't think I've particularly liked any of her other roles. I didn't particularly care for her as Lily Bloom in It Ends With Us, but I will say she was very good in this film. And the big fumble of the ball was, had she just let everybody forget about It Ends With Us and all of the crap that was going around about her in the press, had she just completely ignored that, laid low for all these months, and then came out to do promo for Another Simple Favor, I think she would have absolutely won the audience over. And I think everybody would have completely forgotten that she was a diva and she was a bitch on The Set of It Ends With Us, and that, she's tone deaf and all these things, because Another Simple Favor is a fun, campy movie, right? There are some parts of it, I will say, that were a little soap opera-y in Another Simple Favor. The movie overall, for the most part, I thought was good. I really enjoyed Anna Kendrick in it. I really surprisingly enjoyed Blake Lively's performance and character in it as well. It does get a little off the rails and does get a little too soap opera-y. I won't give you spoilers unless you want me to give you spoilers, and just tell you what the movie is about, and I'll spoil it for you if you want it. But Maria says she wasn't acting, she was being herself in the character. I think, honestly, I believe that. I absolutely believe that she was just being, I think the side of her, she was being her true self that she doesn't outwardly want to show the public, right? I think she pretends to be this really sweet girl. I think she pretends to be this like, "Ooh, I'm so, kind of dorky and shy and coy." And I think she tries to pretend to be what Lily Bloom's character was, and that's why she didn't do so well in that movie. And It Ends With Us as Lily Bloom, but I think she really shines in this movie because this is the real her. You know what I mean? Zack, she legit said she gets to play her horrible rotten self in that movie. So you're saying that you like her, basically. No, I'm just saying her performance. I think what I like is that it's the real her. You know what I mean? Like, this is the real Blake Lively. And it's just so organic and natural for her that on camera, it was a great performance, in my personal opinion. I'm not saying to go watch the movie, but also watching the movie doesn't necessarily hurt. I will say, should I give you the spoilers? Yeah, everyone's saying spoil it, spoil it, spoil it. Okay. Wicked stepmother pretending to be Snow White. Yeah. Jane the Virgin, chapter 50, season 3, episode 06. Okay. So I'm assuming that's where we can timestamp that. Somebody says Sue into oblivion. Zack, in the Seth Meyers interview, did you happen to catch that she mentioned Weekend Update? So she's watching Colin Jost take digs at her. I'm sure. Zack, your impression of Blake is on point and hysterical. Why? What did I do? To say, oh, you're so yummy. Right with teeth. Oh. Is that my Blake impression? I won't be watching. Go ahead. She wasn't really acting. Yeah. Zack is fighting for his life right now. I am, because I was like, wait, like, listen, I told you, just, I will be honest with you. I'm gonna always keep it 100, good or bad. And that's why, listen, I tried Betty Boos and I didn't like Betty Boos. I thought it was really bad. And I was honest about that. I tried to, be as objective and fair about it as possible. So the movies. So here are the spoilers, because again, spoilers ahead. If you want to watch it and you don't want spoilers, you can, fast forward or dip out now. But spoilers for Another Simple Favor. It picks up with Blake Lively getting out of prison. She shows up. Anna Kendrick ended up writing a book, and the book is based off of Blake Lively. I think the book was called The Faceless Blonde. And so she's at one of her book signings or one of her book promotional events while on tour, and Blake Lively happens to show up. And she's like, "Oh, did you get out of prison?" And she's just, "Did you break out of prison?" And she's like, "No, I didn't break out of prison. I have really good lawyers, and they helped me get out because the legal system here in the US is completely fucked." And she's just like, "Oh," and so she's like, "You have to come. I'm getting married." And so Anna Kendrick ultimately agrees because Blake Lively threatens to out that she's as Anna Kendrick calls her, or as Blake Lively calls Anna Kendrick's character, a brother fucker. And so she convinces her, she says, she blackmails her and threatens to sue her. And that's how she gets Anna Kendrick to agree to go to Capri for her wedding. Anna Kendrick also brings her book agent. They fly on a private jet, only to find out when they get to Capri and they get to Italy and they meet Michelle Maroney, who plays Blake Lively, her character Emily's husband. I forgot what his name was. But his family happens to be part of the mafia out in Italy. They're part of the Italian mob. Very wealthy, very powerful. They get there. They're getting prepared for the wedding. We also see that what's his name? Not Henry Cavill. Henry Golding? Henry Golding. So he is the guy, he was from Crazy Rich Asians. He was also the one that played Blake Lively's husband in A Simple Favor, the last movie that Anna Kendrick ends up sleeping with. So he's back for the sequel. And we find out that he's there for the wedding because I guess Blake had her attorneys bring her son to the wedding. And so Henry's character has to go because he's the dad and he's the one that has custody, while Blake Lively's been in prison for the last 5 years. So he's there, he's getting drunk, he's upset. The son seems to be a bit of a troubled child. He seems a little troubled. He has like nail polish and red hair, and he's like screaming for attention, and he curses a lot. And so he seems to be a bit troubled, and Blake's kind of proud of him. And Henry's kind of like trying to get him to stop cursing, and he's like losing control of his misfit teenager that's like being a rebel without a cause. And so Henry's pissed because he has to be there and he has to deal with this. And him and Michelle Maroney don't get off to the best start. Anyway, we move on, we go to the dinner, and then we find out that Michelle Maroney's mom, who's going to be Blake Lively's mother-in-law, she doesn't like Blake Lively. And so she calls her the monster-in-law. And so they have this little tit for tat. And then surprisingly, the monster-in-law ends up inviting Blake Lively's real mom. And if you'll remember the real mom from the first movie, the mom's a little cuckoo crazy. And so the backstory is that the mom had triplets. And so it was Blake Lively and her twin sister. And then there was the triplet, the third. But we were told that the third one, there's Faith, Hope, and Charity. Blake Lively's character, Emily, is, I believe, Faith, or she's Hope. And then Faith was the sister that she ends up killing to fake her death in the first movie. And then we have Charity that supposedly died at birth. The cord was wrapped around her neck, whatever. Spoiler alert, Charity's alive, and she's the one that's, plotting all of this. But it comes with the help of Allison Jennings, who plays Blake Lively's aunt. And so we find out that Blake Lively's mom had all 3 babies, and they believe the mom believed that her third baby had passed away, and that her sister, who's played by Allison Jennings, ended up cremating the baby. So she never got to see the baby. And obviously the mom's a little cuckoo and off her rocker and whatever. And so there were 3 babies, but Allison Jennings, who's Blake Lively's aunt, ends up taking the third baby and raising her in private and in secret. So she's also kind of a little cuckoo crazy herself. So we find out that Blake Lively's aunt is ultimately a con artist, and she's there to help get money out of the Italian mafia because, she found Blake Lively and found that she found this really rich guy, and she ended up marrying him. Along the way, we get this really hot scene of Henry Golding, who is the Asian guy who played Blake Lively's husband in the first movie. We find out that him and Anna Kendrick didn't end up working out because I guess she ended up dumping him because he kind of spiraled after Blake Lively went to prison, and they went through that whole thing where his wife faked the death and they had to deal with all that stuff. So Anna Kendrick and Henry Golding don't end up working out after the first movie. So this is the first time they're seeing each other since they ended things. And I will say there's a really steamy, because Tenerife C says Henry is so fine. Well, if you do want to watch the movie, there's a really hot scene of him in the shower where you see him completely naked. Like, he's full naked. You see him head to toe in the shower. His booty's looking good. And then he even turns around at some point and they do show a full frontal shot of him, but you don't see his dick. It's like kind of, I guess the lighting, it's kind of dark. And so I don't know, maybe he just had a really big bush and a small dick and the dick got lost in the forest. It's somewhere in the jungle. But long story short, we see that somebody ends up killing Henry Golding. We don't know who, but they end up like, when he's in the shower and he's drunk because he's like a chaotic hot mess and he doesn't want to be there, they end up like injecting him with something in the shower, and then he ends up dying. And the police don't want to investigate it because obviously it's attached to the Italian mafia and they want nothing. They're like, nope, we're not touching this. It was an accident. We're told it's an accident. It's an accident. Boom. You don't see his penis. You do see full frontal, but the way that the shot in the lighting is, you just see like it's all dark in that area. So you don't directly see any dick of Henry, but his ass looks great. His body looks great. Like it's chef's kiss perfection. I was like, yes, Henry, let's get it. So Amy Shepard says, I'm encouraged by your ability to look at macro views, honesty and unbiased commentary. You're a truly amazing human being. Thank you. That's very sweet of you, Amy. I appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. But so Henry dies, and then Anna Kendrick red flags. She's like, what the hell's going on? Why did he die? What's happening? So then we get to the wedding, they get married, whatever. And then after the wedding, we find out that they're having the reception and they're having the dinner. And then Michelle Maroney stands up and he's like, I have an announcement to make. And everybody's like, what? And he's like, I want to dedicate this to my mother because I love my mother. Remember, the mom was the one that brought Blake Lively's mom to the wedding, and the Blake Lively's mom is obviously like cuckoo, so Blake's like all pissed about that. Well, then Michelle Maroney's like, here's our prenup. and then he lights the prenup on fire and burns the prenup in front of everybody, which basically means if he were to pass away, Blake Lively's character, Emily, would get everything. So, fast forward. We have Henry Cavill die. Blake Lively has the prenup. So later that night, after the wedding part or after the reception dinner, then they have the party and everyone's dancing and there's fireworks. And then suddenly we see Blake Lively and the aunt are like talking together in like some corner. And I don't know, there's something going on with them. But then next thing you know it, Michelle Maroney walks off. He's kind of, I forgot what, he walks off and you see him kind of upset, and Anna Kendrick follows him and she's drinking her martini and she goes to look and see what was happening. And the next thing you know, she sees that somebody shoots Michelle Maroney, and then they shoot him and they shoot him into the firework cabin and it all blows up and he dies. So fast forward. Then Anna Kendrick ends up getting framed for the murder because she saw it happen, but she didn't see who actually did it because she was kind of like off to the side drinking her martini, but she freaks out and she's like, oh my God, he died, he died. And then the cops come and then they put her under house arrest because they believe that she ended up killing Henry Golding. And on top of that, they believe that she ended up killing Michelle Maroney as well. Yes, I saw that the response to Leslie Sloan just came in. I'll review that in just a sec. It should be in my inbox, so I'll pull that up as soon as I get to. Let me get through my recap. So anyway, Michelle Maroney dies. Henry Golding dies. Blake Lively's like distraught about it. Anna Kendrick gets framed by it. Next thing you know it, fast forward, we find out that Charity's alive. The triplet, and Allison Jennings is the one that brought her, and they had this whole plan to try and, milk the Italian mob for $20 million is I think what they wanted. And then we find out that they ended up kidnapping, or that Charity ends up kidnapping Blake Lively. And then there's like, this is where it gets a little too, if it wasn't too crazy and soap opera-y for you from the rest of it, this is where it gets even more twisted and dark and creepy, because Charity, I guess, she obviously grew up without her two sisters and she was told that her sisters don't want her, but then she finds out that her sisters never knew about her and she was like the triplet in hiding. And then she finds out that Faith, the other sister, ended up dying, and it was because Blake Lively killed her to fake her own death in the first movie. And so she kind of goes crazy about that, and she's like, I'm not going to lose you. I'm not going to lose you. You're mine now. And she kidnaps Blake Lively and she's drugging her and she's like, you're mine now. I'm going to keep you. And then she ends up essentially, this is the other weird twisted part, and it's interesting that they kept this in there. She ends up doing Blake Lively. The triplet sister Charity ends up sleeping with Blake. Like Blake Lively's kind of there and she's kind of drugged out, and then she, like, I guess essentially takes advantage of her, and this is where it gets really weird and twisted. And so she ends up, like being like, I'm going to make you feel good. And it's very like White Lotus season 3. And so that happens. And then Anna Kendrick is obviously being framed for the murders, and she's trying to like escape and get away. And she figures out that Charity's alive. And so she's kind of, everyone's like, what? Seriously, what the fuck you? I know, it's crazy, right? It's very, like I said, White Lotus season 3. But it's like the cuckoo crazy Charity sister that we thought was, like, I'm telling you, it got super off the rails towards the end. But so Anna Kendrick eventually gets kidnapped because obviously the Italian mob, the mom, Michelle Maroney's mom's trying to figure out who killed him, and she is convinced that Anna Kendrick did it and that Blake Lively helped her. And Anna Kendrick, she ends up kidnapping Anna Kendrick and giving her truth serum. And Anna Kendrick's like, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And she's like, I don't know who did it. She's like, actually, I know who did it. It's Charity. It's the triplet. And then the mom's like, I read your stupid book and I know that the triplet never survived. So that's not real. And she's like, no, it's real. And she's here and whatever. And so the mom's like, you're no use to me. You're making up stories. And so she tells the mob to kill her. And so when they try to kill her, the next thing you know, the real Blake Lively, please stand up, Emily comes out, and she ends up, catching them off guard and saving Emily. And then they're off, and they're like, we need to put a plan together to stop Charity and to stop the crazy aunt from framing you, blah, blah, blah. So then eventually they find out that Charity and the crazy aunt end up kidnapping Blake Lively's son. And so they're like, they go live on Anna Kendrick's Instagram, and they're just like, sending secret messages in it, being like, I have my son and I love my son, even though they know it's not the real Blake Lively, it's Charity. And so they end up going to meet them at the spot that they were supposed to meet at. And then that's where the aunt comes clean and basically tells her plan. And she's like, so what's going to happen is we're going to kill the real Blake Lively, and then we're going to frame, we're going to kill Anna Kendrick, and then we're going to deliver the body to the mafia mom so that the mafia mom can accept us, and then we can get the money. And they have this whole plan thought out. And then we find out that Blake Lively and Michelle Maroney, apparently, here's the other twist, Michelle Maroney is gay. And so Blake Lively was only marrying him to be his beard, and that they've been friends for all these years. And so back in the day, Blake Lively used to pretend, when she lived in Rome, and that's where they first met all those years ago, she used to pretend to be his beard. And so she would go around with the mafia son, and she would pretend to be his girlfriend. Meanwhile, she would help him sneak off to go have gay sex with this other guy that's part of this competing gang. And so that's the thing, is these two families are at war in the mob, but the two sons of the two mobsters are both gay and they're in love with each other. It's like a Romeo and Romeo situation. And so Blake Lively is the one that, is for the gays, and so she's helping the two Romeos make love and have butt sex in the bathroom when nobody's looking, and she's pretending to be Michelle Maroney's beard, and that's why she married him. And then we find out that that's how he was able to get her out of prison, is because he has all this money, and so he used all of his money and these powerful attorneys to get her out of prison if she would be willing to marry him. And then when she marries him, then he can have his gay lover. And so, yeah, again, very soap opera-y. Gentry Jade says this movie sounds absolutely terrible. Listen, it was actually entertaining. The storyline is crazy, and like I said, when it gets super, it's also a very convoluted storyline. It's very convoluted, and there are so many layers to it. This sounds so much, Zach. I didn't have to watch it. This movie sounds bipolar. It's beyond bipolar. It's bipolar and personality disorder. It's got a little bit of everything in it. What in the telenovela is this pilot? Yeah. So, Lady of the Water says art imitates life because people think that Blake Lively is Ryan Reynolds' beard and that he's with Hugh Jackman. Could you imagine all the pieces come together? She's Ryan Reynolds' beard so that he could be with Hugh Jackman. That would be a crazy, crazy twist that we didn't see. See, I'm telling you, she's so true to character. Anyway, so they end up, the son ends up helping them kill the aunt. They push her over the cliff and she dies. And then when it comes to Charity, because Charity's like, I don't want to lose my sister. And they're like, well, Charity, because she's like impressionable. And they're like, well, what you can do is admit to the murders of Henry Golding and of Michelle Maroney. Like, you killed the two of them. So just own up to that and just pretend that you're the real Blake Lively. Pretend that you're Emily. And because nobody knows that third triplet is alive. So she pretends to be Emily in this ode to her sister. She's like, okay, I'll do it for you because I killed them and I'm so sorry. And so she pretends that she's the real Blake Lively. And she takes the fall for the murders and she ends up going to prison. And then this is kind of like Blake Lively's attempt to fake her death again, but she fakes her prison. And so Charity ends up going to prison for Blake Lively. And then Blake Lively ends up just kind of being on the loose and gallivanting wherever she wants to go. And then Anna Kendrick ends up taking in Blake Lively's son because Blake Lively's like, I can't take care of him. Like, I can't give him a good life, especially since I'm technically in prison. And I'm secretly, like, I have to be like a new person. I have to have another identity that I have to create. And I just kind of have to lay low. And so she ends up staying in, I don't know if she's in Rome or Italy. She's somewhere. And then the mafia mom ends up coming up to her at the very end. And she's just like, I know what you did. And she's like, and I know about the triplet and I know the truth. And then she's like, you do? What are you going to do about it? And she's just like, well, I just need a simple favor. And then she hands Blake Lively a letter and Blake Lively's like, how simple? And then it ends. So, which tells me that maybe they're planning on having a third movie where maybe Blake Lively, may need Anna Kendrick's help again. I don't know. But that's the movie. Those are all the spoilers. There you go. You have the triplet, incest storyline and the gay Romeos. And oh man, what a time. What a time. What a time. What a time. We'll see. Part 3. Yeah, no more. Not a third one, please. Oh my God, no. I know everyone's like, no, not a third one. Don't do it, Anna. Which is in Rome. The third one's going to be in Rome. I mean, listen, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, it does kind of seem like they set it up to where Anna Kendrick might not be necessary to the third one. Because Blake Lively could technically come to the forefront. Maybe Paul Feig kind of predicted that Anna Kendrick wouldn't want to return for a third movie. I don't know. Oh, the awful FBI agent. Okay, so Alicia Daly saw it as well. Well, that was another weird layer. There was an FBI agent. There was like a really bad FBI. The movie was very campy and it was very soap opera-y. I enjoyed it though. It was better than a Lifetime movie. It was better than like your standard some of the Netflix movies. But yeah. Yeah. Jen H says, I need a nap after that story. It was crazy, you know? But so long story short, Blake Lively is a beard and she uses her very wealthy mafia secret non-boyfriend to get her out, and she marries him so that he can be with his gay lover and nobody's ever going to know about it. And yeah, Kate G says you have a low bar. Thank you. uh, Ren says enjoyable, yes, purely entertainment, yeah, you know. Tiffany says I still refuse to watch it. Anna probably opted out. Yeah, maybe. Oh, wasn't Sharon Stone supposed to be in it? Yes. So the Sharon Stone piece, I'm thinking Sharon Stone was likely going to be cast as what Allison Jennings was. Yeah, Allison Jennings played the crazy aunt. So I'm assuming Sharon Stone was likely going to play the crazy wacky aunt. That's what I'm thinking. And then they just replaced her with Allison Janney. Is it Jennings or Jennings? Jennings. Allison Jennings. So I think that's what happened. They cut out Sharon Stone and replaced her with Allison. Or I could also see that maybe Sharon Stone was going to play maybe the FBI agent and maybe they didn't have a budget. So that's why they used that other actress that nobody's ever heard of. Or maybe Sharon Stone was going to play the mafia mom. I don't know. I don't know what other role Sharon Stone could have played. Maybe she was playing the FBI agent or some, I don't know. I didn't know Sharon was that expensive. I mean, I don't know. Well, only because the actors that they ended up using, I would assume were paid a very low rate in comparison to Sharon Stone, that if they were doing budget cuts because they had to film this in Italy, I don't know. I don't know why she was cut. Okay, can we please get to the Wayfarer's response to Sloan now? Yes. Okay, we're raw dogging it. I haven't seen this. I haven't reviewed it, but I have it in my inbox. We're gonna raw dog it and cover it live together. Oh, it's just a letter. It's not okay, well, let's read it. You are my fire, the one desire, desire. Michelle Maroney is hot. He is hot. He's absolutely Michelle Maroney's hot, but Henry Golding, I would say, is even hotter in this movie. Like, so yummy. So yummy. Okay, let's read this letter together. Dear Judge Lyman, as counsel for Wayfarer Studios LLC, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Sorowitz, It Ends With Us LLC, Movie LLC, Melissa Nathan, the Agency Group PR LLC, and Jennifer Abel, collectively known as the Wayfarer Parties, we write in opposition to the motion by Leslie Sloan and Vision PR to compel certain discovery from the Wayfarer Parties. The Sloan Parties have, how long is it? Oh, it's only 3 pages. Okay, so we can read it all right now. The false premise of the Sloan Party's motion is that they purportedly lack notice of the Wayfarer Party's claim against them. However, the Wayfarer Party's amended complaint alleges that the Sloan Parties made statements to third parties, including the New York Times, to the effect that Baldoni is a predator who assaulted Lively, and that Baldoni retaliated against Lively and others for reporting the alleged misconduct, including by propagating false and misleading narratives about Lively for the purpose of damaging her image and reputation. The amended complaint alleges that the Sloan Parties made further statements in response to the media inquiries concerning Lively's wrongful accumulation of power over the production, how she did so, i.e., false accusations of misconduct, and the resulting turmoil. Specifically, the Sloan Party stated to the Daily Mail that reports of a power struggle on set were 1000% untrue. Your info is totally off. You have it all wrong. Your reporters are so wrong. So they're like, you want the quotes of what you said and who you said it to? You said it to the Daily Mail, and here are your exact words. 1000% false. Your info is totally off. You have it all wrong. Your reports are so wrong. Okay. Instead, the Sloan Parties seeded false information to cast Baldoni rather than Lively in a false light. With another direct quote, the whole cast doesn't like Justin, nothing to do with Blake. They, as in the Wayfarer Parties, they are panicking as the whole cast hates him. The Sloan Parties falsely and gratuitously alleged that Melissa Nathan's Here's that fucking word again. Damn, with the tits in the middle. Okay. Surreptitiously. Melissa Nathan surreptitiously listened to Miss Sloan's phone calls in violation of California wiretapping statute. Amazingly, 2 sentences later, the Sloan parties acknowledged that they lack knowledge about whether the Daily Mail or Nathan added the other to a private conversation without Miss Sloan's consent. In other words, the Sloan parties have no knowledge that Nathan did anything inappropriate. In any event, and putting aside the recklessness of the allegations, the conduct described by the Sloan parties does not constitute wiretapping under the cited statute. So they're claiming that it was the messages that were sent from Leslie Sloan to the Daily Mail that were false and that cast Baldoni in a false light. So there's the false light and there's the defamation. And then they're also claiming that Leslie Sloan was clearly in communication with the New York Times, which would make sense because somebody from Blake Lively or her camp were in touch with the New York Times and gave them access to the CRD complaint and gave them all of the messages, presumably Leslie Sloan. So that's what they're claiming was the defamation. Okay, let's continue. The amended complaint also alleges that the Sloan parties made one or more statements to third parties, including the New York Times, to the effect that the Wayfarer parties engaged in, permitted, and or failed to prevent inappropriate conduct toward Lively and others and retaliated against Lively for reporting the alleged misconduct, including by propagating false narratives about Lively for the purpose of damaging her image and reputation. The pleading alleges that the Sloan parties told the New York Times a false and damning story about an insidious PR sabotage operation deployed as revenge for harassment complaints with the knowledge and intent that the newspaper would publish the false story, and that the Sloan parties propounded a false smear campaign narrative designed to destroy the Wayfarer parties. They get into interrogatory number 3, which they claim is overly broad. I learned that it's not interrogatory, it's interrogatory. Interrogatory number 3 requests identify each person that you allege the Sloan parties communicated with regarding the Wayfarer parties, as set forth in the Wayfarer parties' formal responses to the objections. This interrogatory is not limited to the matter that is relevant to any party's claim or defense. The Sloan parties contend that the relevance of the interrogatory is obvious, given that the Wayfarer parties are asserting claims for defamation and false light based upon unidentified conversations Miss Sloan allegedly had with unidentified persons at unidentified times using unidentified words. However, the interrogatory is not limited to identifying the names of witnesses with knowledge of information relevant to the subject matter of the action as required by Local Civil Rule 33.3a. Denying motion to compel responses to interrogatories that exceeded the scope of Local Civil Rule 33.3a. The Sloan parties conceded that interrogatory number 3 is overly broad and that they narrowed it only to seek the identification of people with whom they communicated to the extent those communications are relevant to the claims and defenses in this action. However, the Wayfarer parties responded to a different interrogatory seeking broader information. Interrogatory number 1 requests the identification of any person believed or known by you to have any information or knowledge concerning any event, fact, matter, act, allegation, or issue included or raised in the complaint or amended complaint you filed in number 25 Civil 44-9 or this action. In response to Wayfarer Parties Incorporated, by reference, their initial disclosures, which the Sloan parties admitted disclosed over 150 individuals and entities. Contrary to Sloan parties' contention, the Wayfarer parties did not waive their Local Civil Rule 33.3a objection to interrogatory number 3, and case cited by the Sloan parties for that proposition are easily distinguished. In the case that they referenced, the court held that the plaintiffs waived Rule 33.3 based objection because it never mentioned Local Civil Rule 33.3 specifically and failed to explain why each of the interrogatories was objectionable under the rule. Here, the Wayfarer parties' general objections, which are expressly incorporated into each specific response, objects to each interrogatory to the extent that it exceeds the scope of interrogatories set forth in Local Civil Rule 33.3. Additionally, the Wayfarer Party's specific response to interrogatory number 3 explains that it is objectionable because it broadly seeks the identification of anyone with whom the Sloan parties communicated regarding the Wayfarer parties. As Freeman versus Giuliani, the defendant therein violated the court's order by failing to respond to interrogatories by a specific date, which certainly is not the case here. Got it. Then we have the other two things that they brought up, which were interrogatory numbers 4, 5, and 7, claiming that they were improper. The Wayfarer parties say interrogatories number 4, 5, and 7 seek identification of each alleged defamatory statement, each malicious story portraying Baldoni as a predator, and each of the stories critical of Baldoni. These are impermissible contention interrogatories that exceed the scope of Local Civil Rule 33.3. In their plea to exceed Local Rule 33.3a, the Sloan parties disingenuously contend that they need a basic roadmap of claims against them to prepare for their defense. However, as detailed above, the amended complaint specifies the media outlets with whom Sloan conversed approximately when she spoke to them and the words she used during those conversations, to the extent that the Wayfarer parties have knowledge of the facts relating to her defamatory statements. If Miss Sloan engaged in other defamatory conduct, she will not need to guess which of those are defamatory because she is the one who made the statements. As for her need for the news articles the Wayfarer parties allege are defamatory or otherwise actionable, she will obtain them in document discovery. Then there's their request for production number 32 being improper. The Wayfarer parties respond. Request number 32 seeks documents upon which the Wayfarer parties intend to rely in drafting a further amended complaint. A second amended complaint that does not exist may never exist and, of course, has not been filed in response to the Wayfarer parties objected on the grounds that the request seeks information protected from the disclosure by the attorney-client privilege, work product doctrine, and any other applicable privilege. The Wayfarer parties further object to the request as premature because a second amended complaint does not exist. The case cited by the Sloan party stands for the unremarkable proposition that a party must produce documents referenced in its pleadings. If a second amended complaint is filed, the Wayfarer parties will produce all non-privileged documents relevant to the claims therein, located upon a diligent search to the extent that such documents have not therefore been produced, including any documents referenced in such currently non-existing pleadings. We respectfully request that the court deny the Sloan party's motion to compel. Unfortunately, Sloan party's true purpose in filing the motion is not to compel discovery, but rather to re-argue their sub judice motion to dismiss, which they anticipate will be denied based off of the court's denial of their motion to stay discovery pending their dismissal motion. Respectfully submitted. Boom. So they're saying that this is a delay tactic until the judge can make a decision on her motion to her motion to dismiss. Yeah. We'll see. I saw where her mother asked if she should cry and motioned years on her face on her hand. Can Blake be put in jail? That's unlikely. Seema says, hope for the sake of a better world they get canceled and their whole entourage. We'll have to see. Think interrogatory questions: who, what, where, why, how. It may help pronounce. Oh, interrogatory questions. Yeah. We are listening and I'm making coffee. Yay. Props to Paul Feig for not making Blake act. What does Ryan Reynolds have on Paul? It seems to be kissing the rings. Yeah. I don't know. The whole triplet storyline is in a Mexican novella. Interesting. Mary says it doesn't sound like a movie I will watch. Well, you don't have to because I watched it for you. You're welcome. You're welcome. I think that's all I have for you. We talked about the Seth Meyers clip. We talked about the movie. We talked about her trolling Baldoni. And we covered Wayfarer's response to Blake Lively. Let's see. Was there anything else that came up? Just happened since then? There's a new episode of the Pop Report that's out right now. That's really fun. So you can definitely tune into that. If you haven't watched my episode on Don't Let It Stew, that's also available now. That's really fun. There's a little bit of tea in there. I saw that the tea was already starting to make some waves. Definitely catch up on Battle Camp so that when I have Morgan on next week, you're fully briefed. Tiffany says, Zach, do you think Seth Meyers really used Blake Lively because he knew it would get attention, or any attention is good attention? Yeah, I think that's the only reason anybody's attaching. Either they're doing it as a favor to someone that they owe a favor to, or they're doing it because they know they'll get a lot of attention for it. And listen, when you're SNL, when you're Time, when you're Seth Meyers, like, you're gonna go through the mud in the moment, but, like, in a year, 2 years, or whatever, people aren't really gonna care or remember, you know? So, like, look at the Washington Post that did the Amber Heard, essay that she wrote about, or the op-ed. Nobody really cares about them anymore. Like, they'll still, if there's a story that's interesting for them, I don't know. I just don't think they'll be hurt in the long run. Sharon says, hit the like button. Yes, please hit the like button. Carrie says, I'm ashamed to say I never watched Seth before, but I watched just to see what she had to say. I was so mad after. I could not sleep. Yeah. Yeah. Nancy Drew says, just catching up. Great breakdown of the movie. Love this for me. It's kind of crazy and wacky and all over the place. Summers B says, Badgley, I think you meant Penn Badgley, did a Blake Lively Delulu fire on episode 3. Say what? I always want you to be honest. I'm always going to be honest. Seth Meyers claimed that he isn't on top of the drama going on in Blake's life. I find that hard to believe. Well, I think people like to be blissfully ignorant, right? Head in the clouds. Sedge said, well, I know why I don't care about the Washington Post anymore, but they should still denounce that the op-ed should the ACLU for backing her. Nancy Drew says, question, I know I'm late, but why did the triplet have to grape the sister? That seems like an unnecessary bit. It seems very unnecessary and just kind of like, huh? Excusez-moi? Say what? I don't know. So confusing. I don't know. Zach, did you play the clip of her on here? I did play the clip on here. I'll play it for you. Well, yeah, I played the clip of her using the Into Oblivion, and I played the ball busting clip for you. And then obviously there's all the fashions that are very clear. Like, the character seems very much modeled after Blake Lively, from the fashion looks to the ball busting comment to the her threatening to, or Blake Lively's character threatening to sue Anna Kendrick's character into oblivion. You know, Dragon says, I see these outings and interviews timing as a win for Justin because the jury and the judge can use these when computing the damages to pay Baldoni. Yeah, because they're continuing to make fun of it and they're continuing to troll. And it's like, again, if it were just the sue into oblivion comment, okay, fine. Maybe you could convince the jury that that was a one-off coincidence. But you have the sue you into oblivion. You have the SNL joke. You have the Marvel Deadpool skit. So to me, the nice pull skit. So to me, it's like when you add those things all together, it just shows that they're not taking any of this seriously. And over the course of all of these months with this ongoing litigation, they're not taking it seriously. Like, I would, even if we thought it was funny to do the sue you into oblivion line, I would have gone to Paul Feig and been like, listen, it's just not the best look. And I think that maybe we don't need to include that line. Like, can we please cut that line because it's in poor taste? You know? That's something that's totally within the realm of possibility. Yeah, Yanni says it shows a pattern of behavior. I agree. I agree. Just a reminder, guys, I'm going on tour this summer. I'm coming to Dallas, Philly, Phoenix, Toronto, Brooklyn, Chicago, Seattle, and LA. It is the Zactivated tour. We're going to be breaking down more of this Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni legal drama as it continues to unfold. I will imagine we'll be discussing the motions to dismiss. We'll be getting into discovery. We'll be picking up on all these tidbits. Depositions are going to be happening over the summer. So there will be lots for us to talk about. Come on out to one of the shows. Grab your friends, wear your florals. Let's have a good time in person. Dallas, Phoenix, Philly, Toronto, Brooklyn, Chicago, Seattle, Los Angeles. It kicks off this summer. Go to nofilterlive.com. That's nofilterlive.com for a live taping of the podcast. A lot of your favorite content creators are going to be in the shows as well. Lots of fun. Donna Bowling, Chef Stu, Colonel Kurtz, the Sidley twins. Lots of fun collabs that you'll be seeing I'm trying to get Andy from Popcorn Planet to come to one of the shows. So stay tuned for official announcements. There will be special guests and a lot of your favorite content creators that will be popping up at the different shows in the different cities throughout the tour. Get your tickets now at nofilterlive.com. Go to nofilterlive.com and I will see you on the road. Whew. If you watched Another Simple Favor, I'm curious what your thoughts are. I did enjoy it. It was kind of campy and kind of fun. It did get a little wacky towards the end with the triplet piece and the Romeo gay piece. It was just like it was a little overkill towards the end, but for the most part, I did enjoy it. But thank you guys. I love you. I appreciate you. Give me a follow at Just Plain Zack. Follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack. And I will continue to give you some shout outs next week on the podcast. So be sure to leave an Apple Podcast review if you listen to the show on Apple Podcasts. Hit the like button, subscribe on YouTube if you have not done so yet. Subscribe. We're currently at 96.7. Can we get to 97 by the end of the week? This weekend, hit the subscribe button. Do you think we can hit that 97,000 mark? We're getting so close to 100K. This is the journey to 100K. We're currently at 96.7. I think we just need less than 300 more to break 97,000. And then we're less than 3,000 away from breaking 100K. Let's get it, guys. I love you. Yeah, see? Dragonfly says 100K for May. 100K for real estate. 100K for real estate. 100K for real estate. Zeta says she thinks that Henry Golding is hotter than Michelle Maroney. Who do you guys think is hotter? Henry or Michelle? Michaeli Maroney. Drop a comment below. Let me know. Henry Golding or Michelle Maroney? Who is the hotter who's the hotter husband of Blake Lively's? All right, guys. Love you. Appreciate you. I will talk to you on Monday. We will have a members only this weekend, so stay tuned for that. If you are a member of the Zack Pack on YouTube, you'll get a notification for when that live will be happening. All right. Give me a follow. Just Plain Zack. Follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Ciao for now.